You don't have to live in pain anymore. This is the podcast where you'll learn the stories, tips, and tools to get back to your path to health. I'm Dr. J. and this is Back at It with Dr. Decompression.
Welcome, Dr. Doom. This is the Back at It with Dr. Decompression podcast, episode 22, Wolff's Law. I'm going to talk to you about spine, stress, how does our body adapt to stress in regards to the spine and laying down more bone, and what is Wolff's Law? Hey, before we dive into this episode, I really want to thank our sponsors, PillowWise USA, for their amazing technology to get individualized pillows based on your sleeping position and based on your neck dimensions. Number two, Power Plate USA for their whole body vibration, which really helps stimulate postural muscles, gain strength and flexibility. So thanks to our sponsors, they really allow me to have this platform. And if you haven't subscribed to the podcast yet, hit the subscribe button so you can get early access to these episodes when we drop them weekly. So Wolff's Law, Wolff, when it started in the 19th century, was a surgeon. And what he discovered is that the spine, you have two types of cells in the spine. You have osteoblasts and osteoclasts. So osteoclasts are meant to degrade the spine and recycle the spine. Osteoblasts, with a B, build up the spine. They lay down more bone. So one builds up bone, one recycles bone. Why that's important is what Wolff figured out is that when your body and your spine is under stress, under duress or strain, your body is intelligent and it will lay down more bone, and those osteoblasts will become higher in activity and you'll start to build more bone and more calcium to adapt to the stress on the spine, to secure the area, because there's stress and our bodies are smart. That's the foundation of this law. So body's under stress, the body's intelligent, the body signals these osteoblasts to build more bone and secure the area, more calcium, and that's how the bone grows. You think that's great. What can happen is, what are the types of stress that we're under? So we could be under postural stress, sitting all day, leaning forward on our computers. We've talked about tips with that before. There's other stress, like a physical stress, falling down, a basketball injury, so common, a whiplash injury. A whiplash injury, hear this every day in my clinic. Yeah, I got in a car accident 8 years ago. It was nothing. I walked away. I was sore for 3 days. I felt fine. So if you were sore for 3 days, there was some type of stress in your neck, right? You had your seatbelt on, you got hit, ouch, 3 days, stress, pain-free. What happens, and based on Wolff's Law, is your body notices the stress, it adapts to that stress and lays down more bone. So we'll take an x-ray 8 years later, because now you've had neck pain for a few months out of nowhere, never had a trauma except this minor car accident 8 years ago. We take an x-ray, holy cow, you've got stage 3 degeneration at your C5, C6. How'd that happen? I don't know. Well, there's been stress there for 8 years. You didn't know it, but your body was adapting to that and laying down more bone to secure the area. So I'm showing you on the video, sorry for the listeners, but I'm showing you there's the joints here. What's happening is there's going to build more bone here where the disc is, and that disc is going to wear out because there's stress there. There's not enough stress to feel pain yet, but that stress is happening. That is the foundation of Wolff's Law. So what's a stress that's on our bodies every day that we can't control? Gravity. Gravity is compressing our spine and squeezing our spine every day, unless we're laying down. That's why laying down in bed is the least stress on your spine, because there's not a force down. So our bodies are always under stress and always kind of degenerating. We have to find ways, how do we adapt to that and how do we combat that? Well, you could, sarcastically, you could live on Mars or go on another planet where there's no gravity. That would be one way. On a tangent on that, you may have heard a story or stories that people that travel to outer space, they notice that they feel taller and they have less back pain. The reason is there's no stress, there's no gravity compressing their spine. So they go into outer space and they feel taller, they're elongated, they're less compressed. Wolff's law is not taking as much into effect because there's no stress. That's what that happens. So we talked about car accident. We talked about posture. There's other things that we don't think about, like repetitive stress injuries or things that we do every single day. Could be a 45-minute commute to work every day. 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back, and that causes stress every day. 5 days a week, 50 days, 50 weeks a year, 20 years. That's a lot of stress on your neck or your back. Other things are, if you do more manual labor, like picking things up and rotating them or picking them up and pushing them up, that's a stress that over time, your body will wear out. Well, why does it wear out? Because again, Wolff's law states if there's a stress between two joints or two bones, the body's reaction is to adapt to that stress and become stronger, to adapt stronger. And the body will degenerate the disc and lay down more calcium or bone growth on those bones, causing arthritis. But people that do manual work with their hands, if you look 20 years later, their hands are rigid and stiff, and there's growth of calcium because their body needed to adapt and their hands needed to get stronger to adapt to the stress every day of doing that. Other repetitive stresses that we see every day in the clinic. Holding your kids, lifting your kids. How do you hold them on your hip? Walking with them. Those types of issues. So we've got accidents, like a car accident or a trauma, that you either know you have pain from, or you were young and just brushed it off and now there's pain. So there's a stress. Or there's small things that happen every single day of your life that over time leads to this stress. So that Wolff's law is the foundation of what we do. We decrease stress here. We decompress stress. What can you do at home to help relieve this stress? How do we decompress the spine? How do we de-stress the spine? How can you today combat Wolff's law and delay the onset of more bone growth due to stress of living in this gravitational environment and the stresses of life? Great question. Here's 3 things you can do today, right now, to de-stress your body and to halt Wolff's law. Say no to Wolff, no. Okay, let's check this out. You want to stretch your spine. So cat-cow is a great way. Cat-cow on all fours. We'll show some pictures on the video. Great way to floss the spine, get movement. You want to get movement into each segment of the spine. Don't rush through the exercise. Breathe. Do one segment at a time. Really focus on decreasing the stress in each segmental level. There's 24 bones in your spine. Try to open up every single joint. Number 2, bring your knees to your chest, lay on your back. So if you're listening, lay on your back, in your bed, on the floor, bring your knees to your chest and make little circles both directions, clockwise and counterclockwise. This is going to help open up your lumbar spine and decrease the stress of your lumbar spine from sitting all day. Great exercise to do to stop or halt Wolff's law. A third way you can combat Wolff's law is by building up your backside, your posterior chain. So again, if we're sitting all day, our culture is to lean forward. We're looking at our phones. Again, I said this almost every episode, go into a Starbucks, go into Target and see how many people have their phones and they're looking down at their phones. And just look at their spine and the curvature and the stress that's on their spine. Stop looking down at your phones. You're accentuating Wolff's law. So to combat that and to stop the process of Wolff's law, we've got to focus on our backside, our back of our neck and our butt and our hamstrings. Great exercise you can do. Our Y exercise, get a band, a resistance band, Put it against the leg of a chair, a leg of a table, a doorknob, and just retract your shoulders. Bring your shoulders back. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Do the opposite of what you do every day. Every day we're forward, we're sitting in a car, we're on our phones, we're on our computers. Do the opposite. Open up your back with Y exercises. Number 2, work on your butt. So simple exercises, stand 2 feet in front of a chair and hands out and then fall back. Like you're going to fall back, but there's a chair. So use your butt to bend down and that'll help open your spine, but most importantly, strengthen your butt and your hamstrings. Falling back into a chair. And then come up and accentuate through your butt. Great exercise to do. We've got to do the opposite of what we're doing to combat Wolff's Law. Other things that are great. Walking. 30 minutes a day is amazing to decrease the stress in your spine, improve the endorphins into your brain, and get a happier mood. Walk every day for 30 minutes. We use the Power Plate, one of our sponsors. It's a whole body vibration plate that helps stimulate the muscles that support the spine. Love Power Plate. The other thing is ergonomics. So if you're sitting all day, we talked about bringing your computer station up so you're not leaning too far forward, okay? Or bring your hands so they're in a good neutral position, and then you don't want to lean forward too much. That's putting too much strain on your spine. So if you haven't had a trauma that's affecting Wolff's Law, you're doing something every day that's affecting it. So you've got to find out, what are you doing every day? The typical things are looking at your phone, the posture that you sit with at work, your driving alignment, and it could be other things like exercise, kids, etc. So look at those things. But Wolff's Law, the foundation's been around for 20 years or 200 years, but gravity's been around forever. So we've got to find out how to combat it and slow down Wolff's Law, okay? And use those 3 exercises to help open the spine, decompress the spine, take stress off of the spine so you can live a happier life and less pain and stop Wolff's Law. That's the show today, Wolff's Law. This was episode 22. Again, I want to thank our sponsors, Power Plate, which we mentioned, for whole body vibration. Great, amazing piece of equipment that helps our patients in the clinic. And then number 2 is PillowWise and PillowWiseUSA.com. Great pillows to support your neck for a long night, restful sleep. I am a blue color pillow. You get measured. There's 6 different colors. Each color represents a different form for a different type of neck and a different type of sleeping position. So it's not a one size fits all. Episode 23 coming up, and I'm going to talk about healing. We're going to talk about the healing process and how long does it take to heal and what can you expect when you're trying to get past pain. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast for alerts and get early access to when we drop these episodes every Monday. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you soon.